Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon and our continued coverage of Massive Darkness 2. Today we're going to be looking at the Shaman class. So this is Urk. Urk is actually from the core box. I really just wanted to paint Urk up. Just a very neat little fellow who's very easy to paint, very simple paint job. So he's who we are going to be kind of looking at in terms of the Shaman today. He has a very straightforward special ability. At the start of your turn, increase any element by 1. And that's the whole crux of the Shaman, is this element board over here to the right. So let's just come over here. As you increase elements, you're just going to push them up this track. And so being able to, gain 1 at the beginning of each round is really nice. Now, the other way to gain elements is in place of mana. So if at any point in time you are told you can gain mana, you can instead gain an element of your choice. And that's really the only way, other than, Urk's basic ability here. So a great starting weapon for the Shaman would be the wood staff, where every time you attack, you get to gain a mana. And you can decide, you could maybe take the mana if you want, or, every time you're attacking, you would gain a mana over here. You can also, as part of the rest or recover action, when you would normally gain 2 either mana or health, you could spend 2 of those, up to 2 of those, on gaining 2 elements instead. So, also, if you are maxed out on your mana, for example, at the start of the game here, Urk he's got 3 mana, he can't take any more. If you were to gain another mana, you might as well gain an element out of it. There's no reason not to. So it's not like you have to always have 2 mana and, I could take 1 more, I'm going to spend it as an element instead. And it's not trade in a mana to gain an element. You cannot just spend a mana to gain an element. It's only when you would gain a mana that you can instead gain an element. So hopefully that's clear. It makes sense once you start playing, but just know that you can't purchase elements by using mana. All right, so this board here, as you move them up, you'll notice that a lot of your skills, and let's just look at 2 of the other starting skills here, have these elements here at the top. We'll put one up a little closer here. So you can see that there's 3 element symbols here, 1 water and 2 earth symbols. So in order to fire off Avalanche 1, you would need to have something like this. And then you would say, all right, I'm going to do Avalanche 1, so I'm going to spend 1 water and 2 earth. You can take it down here, so you could do it if you had, say this was your setup, you could spend 1 water, 2 earth, boom. You can then fire off Avalanche 1. You will notice something very important, that there is no keyword action on these cards. So you can take this, you can fire off this spell outside of your 3 standard actions. All right, as long as you have the elements to pay for it. Now, one other thing you can do with your elements is that anytime it gets up here to the max, you cannot gain any more, but this is optional, this next step. If you want to, you can spend all of them. So that's what, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can spend all 4 of your elements, so it would come all the way back down here, but then you get to flip it over. You can see now it's on the colored side. This means for the rest of the quest, you now get spirits have +1 health. All right, so if you had all of these flipped over, you maxed them all out, and then you spent them on getting this ability, you would get +1 die on your attack roll. You'd be able to move a defender 1 zone during attacking. You'd have 1 additional movement point, and your spirits have +1 health. We'll talk about your spirits here in a second. So that's a big decision, because when you spend it, when you max it out and flip it over, it goes all the way back down to 0. So make sure you have what you want to fire off certain spells before you max, or flip it over and max it out. But once you flip it over, it stays flipped over. if you get back up to the top, there's nothing to do but spend those elements on firing off your spells. Now, let's take a look at your spells a little closer. Also, notice that Urk's special ability here, his shadow ability, is you may increase any element to max. So anytime you can, especially if you have a magic weapon and you can fire from an adjacent zone, put him in shadow. Just being able to roll this shadow die and have a 1 in 6 chance of maxing out an element is a really good deal. Now, I'm going to kind of backtrack here and talk a little bit about setup. When you are setting up this shaman, you're going to notice that there is this one card that says starting skill. It looks a little different than the rest of the skill cards, which look like this. Okay? This is what they call in the rule book your what do they call it? Element reference card or something like that. Hold on, let me just check. The Shaman effects card. They call this the Shaman effects card in the rulebook, though it says basic spells and starting skill. Very confusing, in my opinion. I don't know why somebody didn't catch this as like, hey, this doesn't really make sense, and there obviously needs to be an errata because it says starting skill. You still, however, get to choose a level 1 skill. So you actually get 2 skills to start off with when you are the shaman. All right. So you're always going to be able to attack using, this setup here. So you can attack and not have to use this. Now this is separate from using your wooden staff. You'll notice that it is, the attack word is in bold. That means it's an action. Just like up here, attack. You don't just get to always gain a mana whenever you want. You have to take the attack action. And so you can see here that these do not have a bold action word or attack word or move word or something like that. So to do this, you need to have these 2. You need to spend a fire and a water, and you can add orange die to your attack roll. The healing, however, does not have an action word next to it. So in healing, you could just spend water and earth. I'm sorry, this was fire and wind to add a die to the attack roll. Healing can be done anytime, and as long as you have the mana, say you had them all maxed out here, you could heal yourself 2, heal your partner 2, heal somebody else in your part 2, and then heal you 2, as long as you have the elements to pay for it. So this is always going to be here. This doesn't get upgraded. This is always a skill that you have the option to use. All right, so then you have your other level 1 skills. Now, you'll notice there is a healing one, so if you want to be kind of more of a support character, this is a great one to have because you can see it heals each hero within your range. So that's handy to have. But these 2 here are really kind of dependent upon, do you want to bring in your fire spirit or do you want to bring in your frost spirit? And we have these up here. Let's take the little minis off. Set them right over here. So you can see your flame spirit and frost spirit. These are double-sided cards because these are not skill cards. These are, your, what's the word I'm looking for? And not what the druids are, but basically you can summon them. Your summons. So you always have them kind of off to the side. So if you're thinking you're going to be doing more frost spirit, you're going to bring him out, you would kind of want to start with Avalanche. Now, you could kind of balance yourself out if you want to, but something important to note is the Firestorm here is basically rolling a die, dealing wounds for every hit to each enemy within range, which is really nice, and you get an additional hit per fire token up to 3 on the target. Well, the Flame Spirit is where you're going to get those fire tokens. You can see that if the Flame Spirit ever attacks, the defender takes 1 flame token. So these 2 pair really nicely. This one, the Avalanche and the Frost Spirit, actually almost overlap each other because both are just placing a Frost token on an enemy, which kind of freezes them. Now, if you put 2 Frost tokens on, say, a roaming monster, they lose, they're basically like knocked out or frozen for an entire round. So if you really kind of want to do more, say, crowd control, I would go with Frost Spirit. If you want to be more like Berserker class and doing as much damage as possible, I would go with the Firestorm class. Now, how do you get these spirits out? Well, your level 2 options are basically Frost Spirit or Flame Spirit, and you can see they're level 1s. So let's put this right here and right here. Again, you only get to choose one. You could come back and choose the other one the next time you level up, so you could have both out on the board at the same time. But this essentially tells you you need to spend 2 water and 2 earth, and you can place your Frost Spirit out. If you don't have the miniatures, you would just place the token, and then you need to have this somewhere handy, so I'm just going to put it right there. You can now see that your Frost Spirit has 3 health. He gets 1 blue dice on defense. When he attacks, his defender takes 1 frost damage, and he basically has magical attack with a 1 yellow die. You get, as the Shaman, to activate, you get to give them 1 action per turn for free. So that means you can either move or attack. So if you're not within range, you would need to spend that action to move. That's free. You can spend another one of your actions to take another action with your spirit. So if you have both the Flame and the Frost Spirit out, you can move them or attack with them for free once each of your turns. Beyond that, you need to spend, as Urk the Shaman, spend one of your 3 actions to activate one or the other. Hopefully that makes sense. So it's like a half an action, half an activation for free. And to get a full activation, you need to spend one of your actions. Okay? And so then we have level 3 skills. The level 3 skills are basically just level 2s of the 3 level 1 options. Basically just increase everything. And then level 4 is the upgrades spirits. So if you have at this point gotten a level 2 spirit, you would simply then, when you bring the card out, you would flip it over. You can see they now have 5 health. They're rolling 2 defense dice, 3 dice on their attack, and their defender still takes frost damage. So in my opinion, it is worth it to get a level 2 spirit out as opposed to 2 level 1 spirits, but that's just my opinion. Again, you can do it however you want. And the level 5s are just the 3rd iteration of the basic skills. So the Shaman skills are very straightforward. It's, pick one of 3 at level 1. Then pick your spirit at level 2. Upgrade, most likely at level 3. Upgrade your spirit at level 4. And then super upgrade your skill at level 5. Now again, you can spread yourself out. You can become more balanced. It's entirely up to you. That's part of what's really nice about the game is your little building of your character through these skill cards over the course of a game, a single session. Okay, I believe that covers everything that there is for the Shaman. Again, there is one other Shaman that comes in the Darkbringer pack. I can't remember his name right now, but he's an angel character. He's got wings and lots of gold trim on him and things like that. But yeah, this is the Shaman character. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And I think the 2 biggest things to keep in mind are A, you get to start with this plus a level 1 skill. And the gaining of... instead of gaining a mana, gaining an element is always an option. Even in the rest phase, even with the attack phase, even if you're full on mana, that's your main way of gaining mana. Okay, that's going to do it. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content like this in the future, please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.